And I'm not saying this because somebody else has said it. What I'm saying because I get, because I have received. I'm either telling the truth because it's something that God has revealed to me over the last 30 years, or I'm just flat out wrong. Follow-up video to the first 4 videos that I made about the lockdowns. I've had some more experiences that are confirming that lockdowns are coming, and I wanted to share some of that with you. There are some things in my personal life that are lining up in a way that suggest something big is coming at the end of this year, or in the last quarter of this year, and that begins now or sometime soon. About a week ago, I came back from a motorcycle ride, and I got a feeling that I get once in a while, and it was a feeling like the veil between the spiritual and the physical worlds was very thin, and it stayed with me. That feeling stayed with me. It was almost like I could just reach in to the spirit world, or that there was something on that side that wanted to communicate with me. So I went and got by myself, and I just listened to see what came to me. And the impression I got was that the lockdowns are coming back. Now, these impressions are not very specific. The experience I had back in March of 2020, when I had something come to me and tell me that COVID was not something to be concerned about, that it was going to be about as troublesome as the flu, and that it was not going to create the economic collapse that people were afraid it would bring. I shared that video early in March, and those things were very accurate. But when I get something like that, it's an impression. And finding the right words to match the impression can be difficult sometimes. And it can also be difficult to not add to the impression. It's hard sometimes to stay with what I'm receiving and not speculate on what it means or how it's going to take place. So what I will say about this impression is that it has stuck with me, and there have been more confirmations about what I felt like I was receiving. I got the feeling of more seriousness and more gravity to it this time. And it seems like the implication is that these lockdowns are going to create economic hardship. A lot worse than what we saw in 2020. This is good news and bad news. There's an opportunity for us in this. And not only is there opportunity, and there's a second half to this impression that I got that came with sort of a vision, or at least a picture in my mind. And the picture in my mind was a cocoon opening and a butterfly coming out. And the impression that went with that was that what many of us have been waiting for, a time of activation, that it's about to take place, that we are about to be activated. And over 20 years ago, I came back from a trip that I wrote about it was my 3rd book. It's called The Audit, where I gave away all my possessions, all my money, and I just started moving across the U.S. by whatever means were available to me. And I ended up on foot in the southern states. And I came back from that experience, and once I recovered and felt like I was ready to, I guess, take on the world, so to speak, I prayed about it and said, all right, what's next? And the impression that I got, this was more of a message, was, we know that you'll go. Now rest so that I can send you when the time is right. And what was included with that was a message that I felt like God said to me was, I've kept you hidden until the time is right. Over the last 20 years, I've had a lot of time to reflect on the things that happened in my 20s in particular. And something that I realized was that there was a lot that was given to me that was not for me, it was for us. And that us might not be all of us, but it's some of us. I don't know if I would say it was a remnant or just some of us. And this is one of those messages, and this connects with the idea of the cocoon and the butterfly. Because I've been sitting with a certain idea for a while, and that idea is that we have been kept hidden away. That darkness is looking for those who are going to be influential in the world for good. Those who are going to be anointed, those who have been preparing, and those who will be doing work against the darkness and for the light. And I believe that evil, in whatever form it takes, has been looking for those people so that it can try to find a way to destroy them before they get activated. But what seems to be the case is that those who are going to be activated are not yet putting off, let's call it a spiritual signature that can be recognized by evil. So evil can't tell where it's going to come from and who it is that's going to be anointed, who's going to rise up. And I personally believe that one of the things that camouflages that spiritual signature is our own shortcomings, our own fears, our own experiences that have not been integrated, our own issues. And because we have those issues, we remain hidden. And I think that God has chosen to not work on certain things that a lot of us want to work on. There are so many things between me and the people that I'm in touch with on a regular basis. There are so many things that we have been wrestling with or trying to overcome for years and cannot figure out why we can't get past them. And I think it's because God is waiting until an appointed time to heal those issues that we have, to bring wholeness to us so that we could remain hidden until the time was right. And once we are activated and anointed, and once we begin this very quick healing process, once everything gets into motion, we will be on the radar of evil. And that's all right, because they are not the predators, we are. They are the prey. They may win some battles, it really doesn't matter. They can't stop us. Evil cannot stop us, and evil cannot stop what is coming. It will happen. There will be an awakening. A move of God will take place. People will be operating in peace and in love and in power and in clarity and in wisdom and in miracles in ways that we've never seen. I believe we've been hidden away, and we are about to be activated. It also seems very likely that at some point we were given a certain amount of fuel to get to the end of this season, to get through the incubation process. And for many of us, it feels like that fuel is running out, and we're not sure what we're going to do because we've never experienced coming out of the cocoon in this way. It just feels like we're starving to death, emotionally or in other ways. We just feel like we're running out of steam, and once that steam is gone, there's nothing left. And how are we going to get through the rest of our lives when we are using up our last bits of energy and motivation and power right now? Well, we're going to get through it because we're going to be transformed, and we're going to move into a new state of being. And we will have what we need to get through this stage. It seems that hard times are coming, but you don't need to be afraid. It's evil that needs to be afraid, and that's why it is acting on the world in the way that it is right now. I can feel the desperation that evil is experiencing. It is scared shitless because it knows something is coming that it cannot really defend against. And so it is doing its best to screw things up ahead of time. But you don't need to be afraid. For those of us who have prepared for this time, and many of us are more prepared than we realize, those of us who have been prepared for this, when evil has nightmares, it has nightmares about us. And evil has to be given certain opportunities to make its impression. It has to reach a certain type of completion before the things of God are released into the world sometimes, before change can be brought. And I don't fully understand that, but it seems to be a spiritual principle. But it all works to the good.